Reading again here, page 102. Satan's devices to keep souls from holy duties, to hinder souls in holy services, and keep them off from religious performances. This will be good. The second thing to be shown is the several devices that Satan hath as to draw souls to sin, so to keep souls from holy duties, to hinder souls in holy services, and to keep them off from religious performances. And he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord, and Satan standing at his right hand to resist him. Zechariah 3:1. Device 1. By presenting the world in such a dress and in such a garb to the soul as to ensnare the soul and to win upon the affection of the soul, he represents the world to them in its beauty and bravery, which proves a bewitching sight to a world of men. It is true this took not Christ, because Satan could find no matter in him for his temptation to work upon, think about Matthew 4 there, so that he can no sooner cast out his golden bait, but we are ready to play with it and to nibble at it. He can no sooner throw out his golden ball, but men are apt to run after it, though they lose God and their souls in the pursuit. How many professors in these days have for a time followed hard after God, Christ, and ordinances, till the devil hath set before them the world in all its beauty and bravery, which hath so bewitched their souls that they have grown to have low thoughts of holy things, and then to be cold in their affections to holy things, and then to slight them, and at last with the young man in the gospel to turn their backs upon them. The time, the thoughts, the spirits, the hearts, the souls, the duties, the services that the inordinate love of this wicked world doth eat up and destroy, and hath ate up and destroyed. Where 1,000 are destroyed by the world's frowns, 10,000 are destroyed by the world's smiles. The world, siren-like, it sings us and sinks us. It kisses us and betrays us, like Judas. It kisses us and smites us under the fifth rib, like Joab. The honors, splendor, and all the glory of this world are but sweet poisons that will much endanger us, if they do not eternally destroy us. The multitude of souls that have surfeited of these sweet baits and died forever. Remedy 1. The first remedy against this device of Satan is to dwell upon the impotency and weakness of all these things here below. They are not able to secure you from the least evil. They are not able to procure you from the least desirable good. The crown of gold cannot cure the headache, nor the velvet slipper ease the gout, nor the jewel about the neck take away the pain of the teeth. The frogs of Egypt entered into the rich men's houses of Egypt, as well as the poor. Our daily experience doth evidence this, that all the honors and riches that men enjoy cannot free them from the colic, the fever, or lesser diseases. Nay, that which may seem most strange is that a great deal of wealth cannot keep men from falling into extreme poverty. You shall find 70 kings with their fingers and toes cut off, glad, like whelps, to lick up crumbs under another king's table. And shortly after, the same king that brought them to this penury is reduced to the same poverty and misery. Judges 1. Why then should that be a bar to keep thee out of heaven, and cannot give thee the least ease on earth? Remedy 2. The second remedy against this device of Satan is to dwell upon the vanity of them as well as upon the impotency of all worldly good. This is the sum of Solomon's sermon. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. This our first parents found, and therefore named their second son Abel, or vanity. Solomon, that had tried these things and could best tell the vanity of them, he preacheth this sermon over again and again. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. It is sad to think how many thousands there be that can say with the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Nay, swear it, and yet follow after these things as if there were no other glory nor felicity, but what is to be found in these things they call vanity. Such men will sell Christ, heaven, and their souls for a trifle, and call these things vanity, but do not cordially believe them to be vanity, but set their hearts upon them as if they were their crown. the top of their royalty and glory. Oh, let your souls dwell upon the vanity of all things here below, till your hearts be so thoroughly convinced and persuaded of the vanity of them as to trample upon them and make them a footstool for Christ, to get up and ride in a holy triumph in your hearts. Chrysostom once said that if he were the fittest in the world to preach a sermon to the whole world, gathered together in one congregation, and had some high mountain for his pulpit, from whence he might have a prospect of all the world in his view, and were furnished with a voice of brass, a voice as loud as the trumpets of the archangel, that all the world might hear him, he would choose to preach upon no other text than that in the Psalms, O mortal men, how long will ye love vanity, and follow after leasing? Psalm 4:2. Tell me, you that say all things under the sun are vanity, if you do really believe what you say, why do you spend more thoughts and time on the world than you do on Christ, heaven, and your immortal souls? Why do you then neglect your duty towards God to get the world? Why do you then so eagerly pursue after the world and are so cold in your pursuing after God, Christ, and holiness? Why then are your hearts so exceedingly raised? When the world comes in and smiles upon you and so much dejected and cast down, when the world frowns upon you and with Jonah's gourd withers before you? This is really good, friends. Remedy 3. The third remedy against the device of Satan is to dwell much upon the uncertainty, the mutability, and inconstancy of all things under the sun. Man himself is but the dream of a dream, but the generation of a fancy, but an empty vanity, but the curious picture of nothing, a poor, feeble, dying flash. All temporals are as transitory as a hasty, headlong current, a shadow, a ship, a bird, an arrow, a post that passeth by. Why shouldest thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? Saith Solomon, Proverbs 23:5. And saith the apostle, the fashion of this world passeth away, 1 Corinthians 7. Heaven only hath a foundation, earth hath none, but is hanged upon nothing, as God speaks, 26 verse 7. As Job speaks, the apostle willed Timothy to charge rich men that they might be not high-minded, nor put their trust in uncertain riches, 1 Timothy 6:17. They are like bad servants, whose shoes are made of running leather, and will never tarry along with one master. As a bird hoppeth from tree to tree, so do the honors and riches of this world from man to man. Let Job and Nebuchadnezzar testify this truth, who fell from great wealth to great want. No man can promise himself to be wealthy till night. One storm at sea, one coal of fire, one false friend, one unadvised word, one false witness may make thee a beggar and a prisoner all at once. All the riches and glory of this world is but as smoke and chaff that vanisheth, as a dream and vision in the night that tarrieth not. Job 20. As if a hungry man dreameth, and thinketh that he eateth, and when he awaketh his soul is empty, and like a thirsty man which thinketh he drinketh, and behold, when he is awaked, his soul is faint, as the prophet Isaiah saith, chapter 29, verse 8. Where is the glory of Solomon, the sumptuous buildings of Nebuchadnezzar, the 900 chariots of Sisera, the power of Alexander, the authority of Augustus that commanded the whole world to be taxed? Those that have been the most glorious, and what men generally account glorious and excellent, have had inglorious ends, as Samson for strength, Absalom for favor, Ahithophel for policy, Haman for favor, Asahel for swiftness, Alexander for great conquest, and yet after 12 years poisoned. The same you may see in the four mighty kingdoms, the Chaldean, Persian, Grecian, and Roman. How soon were they gone and forgotten? Now rich, now poor, now full, now empty, now in favor, anon out of favor, now honorable, now despised, now health, now sickness, now strength, now weakness. Remedy 4. The fourth remedy against this device of Satan is seriously to consider that the great things of this world are very hurtful and dangerous to the outward and inward man, through the corruptions that be in the hearts of men. Oh, the rest, the peace, the comfort, the content that the things of this world do strip many men of, Oh, the fears. Oh, the fears, the cares, the envy, the malice, the dangers, the mischiefs that they subject men to. They oftentimes make men carnally confident. The rich man's riches are a strong tower in his imagination. I said in my prosperity, I should never be moved. Psalm 30, verse 6. They often swell the heart with pride and make men forget God and neglect God and despise the rock of their salvation. When Jeshurun waxed fat and was grown thick and covered with fatness, then he forgot God and forsook God that made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation, as Moses spake. Deuteronomy 32:15. I love how Brooks uses biblical illustrations. The time, the thoughts, the spirits that the things of the world consume and spend. Oh, how do they hinder the actings of faith upon God? How do they interrupt our sweet communion with God? How do they abate our love to the people of God and cool our love to the things of God and work us to act like those that are most unlike to God? Oh, the deadness, the barrenness that doth attend men under great outward mercies. Oh, the riches of the world chokes the word, that men live under the most soul-searching and soul-enriching means with lean souls. Though they have full purses, though their chests are full of silver, yet their hearts are empty of grace. In Genesis 13:2, it is said that Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver and in gold. According to the Hebrew, it is Abram was very weary, to show that riches are a heavy burden and a hindrance many times to heaven and happiness. King Henry IV of France asked the Duke of Elva if he had observed the great eclipse of the sun, which had lately happened. No, said the Duke. I have so much to do on earth that I have no leisure to look up to heaven. Ha! That this were not true of most professors in these days. It is very sad to think how their hearts and time is so much taken up with earthly things that they have scarce any leisure to look up to heaven or to look after Christ and the things that belong to their everlasting peace. Riches, though well got, yet are but like to manna. Those that gathered less had no want, and those that gathered more, it was but a trouble and annoyance to them. The world is troublesome, and yet it is loved. What would it be if it were peaceable? You embrace it, though it be filthy. What would you do if it were beautiful? You cannot keep your hands from the thorns. How earnestly would you be then in gathering the flowers? The world may be fitly likened to the serpent Skytail, whereof it is reported that when she cannot overtake the flying passengers, she doth with her beautiful colors so astonish and amaze them that they have no power to pass away till she hath stung them. Ah, how many thousands are there now on earth, and that they have found this true by experience, that have spun a fair thread to strangle themselves, both temporally and eternally, by being bewitched by the beauty and bravery of this world. Remedy number 5, the fifth remedy against this device of Satan, is to consider that all the felicity of this world is mixed. Our light is mixed with darkness, our joy with sorrow, our pleasures with pain, our honor with dishonor, our riches with wants. If our lights be spiritual, clear and quick, we may see in the felicity of this world our wine mixed with water, our honey with gall, our sugar with wormwood, and our roses with prickles. Sorrow attends worldly joy, danger attends worldly safety, loss attends worldly labors, tears attain worldly purposes. As to these things, men's hopes are vain, their sorrow certain, and joy feigned. The apostle calls this world a sea of glass, a sea for the trouble of it, a glass for the brittleness and bitterness of it. The honors, profits, pleasures, and delights of the world are true gardens of Adonis, where we can gather nothing but trivial flowers surrounded with many briars. Remedy 6. The sixth remedy against this device of Satan is to get better acquaintance and better assurance of more blessed and glorious things. It's the heart, isn't it? It's the heart of what we get attracted to and spend our minds on. Anyways, that which raised up their spirits, Hebrews 10:11, to trample upon all the beauty, bravery, and glory of the world was the acquaintance with and assurance of better and more durable things. They took joyfully the spoiling of their goods, knowing in themselves that they had in heaven a better and more durable substance. They looked for a house that had foundations, whose builder and maker was God. And they looked for another country, even a heavenly. They saw him that was invisible and had an eye to the recompense of reward. And this made them count all the glory and bravery of this world to be too poor and contemptible for them to set their hearts upon. The main reason why men dote upon the world and damn their souls to get the world is because they are acquainted with a greater glory. Wow, that sentence is heavy. The main reason why men dote upon the world and damn their souls to get the world is because they are not acquainted with a greater glory, a superior delight in their lives. This is it. Men ate acorns till they were acquainted with the use of wheat. Were men more acquainted with what union and communion with God means, what it is to have a new name and a new stone that none knows but he that hath it, Revelation 2:17. But they did but taste more of heaven and live more in heaven and had more glorious hopes of going to heaven. How easily would they have the moon under their feet. It was an excellent saying of Louis of Bavaria, Emperor of Germany. Such goods are worth getting and owning as will not sink or wash away if a shipwreck happens, but will wade and swim out with us. It is recorded of Lazarus that after his resurrection from the dead, he was never seen to laugh. His thoughts and affections were so fixed in heaven, though his body was on earth, and therefore he could not but slight temporal things, his heart being so bent and set upon eternals. There are goods for the throne of grace, as God, Christ, the Spirit, adoption, justification, remission of sin, peace with God, and peace with conscience. And there are goods of the footstool, as honors, riches, and favors of creatures, and other comforts and accommodation of this life. Now he that hath acquaintance with and assurance of the goods of the throne will easily trample upon the goods of the footstool. That you would make it your business, your work, to mind more, and make such sure more to your own souls the great things of eternity that will yield you joy in life and peace in death and a crown of righteousness in the day of Christ's appearing, and that will lift up your souls above all the beauty and bravery of this bewitching world, that will raise your feet above other men's heads. When a man comes to be assured of a crown, a scepter, and the royal robes, he then begins to have low, mean, and contemptible thoughts of those things that before he highly prized. So will assurance of more great and glorious things breed in the soul a holy scorn and contempt of all these poor, mean things, which the soul before did value above God, Christ, and heaven. Remedy 7. The seventh remedy against this device of Satan is seriously to consider that true happiness and satisfaction is not to be had in the enjoyment of worldly good. True happiness is too big and too glorious a thing to be found in anything below that God, that is a Christian's summum bonum, chiefest good. The blessed angels, those glittering courtiers, have all felicities and blessedness, and yet have they neither gold nor silver nor jewels nor any of the beauty and bravery of this world. Certainly, if happiness was to be found in these things, the Lord Jesus, who is the right and royal heir of all things, would have exchanged his cradle for a crown, his birth chamber a stable for a royal palace, his poverty for plenty, his despised followers for shining courtiers, and his mean provision for the choicest delicates. Certainly happiness lies not in those things that a man may enjoy and yet be miserable forever. Now a man may be great and graceless with Pharaoh, honorable and damnable with Saul, rich and miserable with Dives. Therefore happiness lies not in these things. Certainly happiness lies not in those things that cannot comfort a man upon a dying bed. Is it honors, riches, or friends that can comfort thee when thou comest to die? Or is it not rather faith in the blood of Christ, the witness of the Spirit of Christ, the sense and feeling of the love and favor of Christ, and the hopes of eternally reigning with Christ Can happiness lie in those things that cannot give us health or strength or ease or a good night's rest or an hour's sleep or a good stomach? Why, all the honors, riches, and delight of this world cannot give these poor things to us. Therefore, certainly happiness lies not in the enjoyment of them. And surely happiness is not to be found in those things that cannot satisfy the souls of men. Now, none of these things can satisfy the soul of man. He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity, said the wise man, Ecclesiastes 5. The barren womb, the horse leech's daughter, the grave and hell, will as soon be satisfied as the soul of man will be by the enjoyment of any worldly good. Some one thing or another will be forever wanting to that soul that hath none but outward good to live upon. You may be as soon fill a bag with wisdom, a chest with virtue, or a circle with a triangle, as the heart of man with anything here below. A man may have enough of the world to sink him, but he can never have enough to satisfy him. Wow. Remedy 8. The eighth remedy against this device of Satan is solemnly to consider of the dignity of the soul. Oh, the soul of man is more worth than 1,000 worlds. It is the greatest abasing of it that can be to let it dote upon a little shining earth, upon a little painted beauty and fading glory, when it is capable of union with Christ, of communion with God, and of enjoying the eternal vision of God. Seneca could say, I am too great and born to greater things than that I should be a slave to my body. Oh, do you say my soul is too great and born to greater things than that I should confine it to a heap of white and yellow earth? I have been the longer upon the remedies that may help us against this dangerous device of Satan, because he doth usually more hurt to the souls of men by this device than he doth by all other devices. For a close, I wish, as once Chrysostom did, that sentence, Ecclesiastes 2:11, then I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought, and on the labor that I had labored to, and behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit, and there was no profit under the sun, were engraven on the doorposts into which you enter, on the tables where you sit, on the dishes out of which you eat, on the cups out of which you drink, on the bedsteads where you lie, on the walls of the house where you dwell, on the garments which you wear, on the heads of the horses on which you ride, and on the foreheads of all of them whom you meet, that your souls may not, by the beauty and bravery of the world, be kept off from those holy and heavenly services that may render you blessed while you live, and happy when you die, that you may breathe out your last into his bosom, who lives forever, and who will make them happy forever that prefer Christ's spirituals and eternals above all temporary, transitory things. It's a long sentence, and it's profound, and it's true. God be with you.